Hi queens and kings, and welcome back to One Voice. Fridays are for story times, so if you want to hear about my first college party, stay tuned. So my last story time that I had, I was talking about how I just dragged my college roommate, and I felt like I would go along to, the part of me going to the college party. So like before that even happened, I want to talk about my college experience because that was my first time ever going to a college party, and then right after I dragged her, so it was wild. So in the midst of, everything that was dealing with her, one of my friends, she's like, hey, there's a college party coming up this week. I want to know if you want to come. I don't know if that's your scene, and so on and so forth. I told her, I said, that is not my scene, but it was my freshman year in college. So I was like, I might as well and see what happens. So all week we were preparing for this college party. We were going to different stores to see what we could wear. We were, trying to find the location. We were walking around the location. We were just doing everything to prepare for this party at the end of the week. And I was talking to my friend, and I was we were walking down the hallway, and I was really open and just, talking to her about the party. And she's like, oh, you have to keep it on the low because we don't want the cops to show up, so keep it on the low. And here's little old me, never been to anything, never done anything. And I was just like, okay, she's showing me the ropes and showing me exactly what to do and what to say. So it was about 2 days before the college party, and we decided to get tattoos. For whatever reason, we were in that mode of, we're gonna get our tattoos, we're gonna go to our college party, we're gonna turn up. So I ended up getting my first tattoo. That was an experience, but that's for another story. But I ended up getting my first tattoo, and then after that, we had gone to the mall, we finally got our outfits, and we were pretty much ready for the weekend. So the day of the party, I was dressed. I was ready to go, and I was gonna get there early. That's why in my head I'm thinking, okay, let me get dressed early, let me get ready to go, let me go to my friend's dorm room early so we can be there early. And I get there, and she's not even dressed yet because nobody goes to college parties early. No one wants to be the first person to show up. You're supposed to let it, I guess, get all hype and stuff, and then you slowly get there, a few hours after it was actually, started. So I just waited. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait. I was in there with her. We watched a movie for a little bit, and then finally she started getting ready, and sooner or later it was time to go. So her friend was supposed to pick us up so we could go to this party. Her friend ended up drinking and doing crazy stuff and ended up wrecking their car. So we actually had to walk to the party. And the way that the campus is set up, there's a huge campus on the top, but there's this giant hill. It has at least 3 or 4 curves until you get to the bottom. So she told us that we had to walk down there. So I went back to my dorm room. I got some running shoes because I was not about to walk in heels, and we proceeded to walk down that hill. So as we're walking down the hill, I'm grown. In my head, I'm grown. I look cute. These boys was checking me out. I'm grown. I'm about to go to my first college party, and I was hyping myself up, because I've heard so much about college parties and how they're so much fun and it's always an experience. So I was ready. I was like, yes, I got my tattoo, I got my black dress, I'm walking down a hill, I'm grown. So we finally get down the hill, and then we get lost. And I'm telling her, I'm like, okay, well, we need to find the location. This is the address. Try to put it in your phone. Everyone's phone was gonna die, which didn't make sense to me because I'm like, you guys all waited to the last minute. Like, your phone should have been on the charger. So I just pulled up the GPS, and eventually we ended up finding the address. So when we found the address, we just seen like a bunch of like lights just going off. It was like this house. It was like a full house. It had like maybe like 2 floors in a basement. And we saw these lights going off. We heard the music. There was people out in the front, people in the yard. And I really, in that moment, I really felt like I made it. I made it. I'm truly an adult. So let's have some fun. So as soon as we walked in, these 2 guys, because it was like a group of us. There was probably like, maybe like 8 of us. So as soon as we walked in, these 2 guys, they came up with drinks in their hand. They're like, oh, here you go, you know, start drinking, here you go. And I watched too many like CSI movies and shows and NCIS, and I know that you're not supposed to drink anything that a guy gives you without you watching them pour it. So I took them both and I threw them outside, and I was like, we're not about to drink this. We'll get our own drinks and we'll go on and go forth. So we went in there, we ended up getting our own drinks. We ended up taking one of their bottles, like, cause no one even knew, because they were all like, you know, in that drunk, boisterous stage already. So no one even knew that we took their bottles, and we took the bottles, and we ended up going, me and my friend, we ended up going into a room that was like LED lights. So it had all these different lights flashing, and they had like the big speakers in the room, and it was literally only her and I. There was nobody else in that room. So as it's just her and I, we're like talking a little bit, but then we just start feeling the music and we start dancing. So her and I, like I said, no one else is in the room. Her and I are dancing, and we're, you know, getting down. So as we're dancing and we're partying, just her and I start to see like some guys walk in, because her and I like were dancing with each other. So I started seeing some guys walk in, and there was like couches around. So like the dance floor was in the center, and there was a couch here. It was like a box. It was boxing you in, and then that was the entrance. So I started seeing guys come in, and they were just sitting down on the couch, you know, drinking. And then more guys came in, sitting down on the couch, drinking. And the next thing I know, we are surrounded by guys just sitting there watching us drink. And I was like, listen, I'm not about that. I'm not about that life. I'm not about that life. Like, y'all really thought you just had entertainment and that you're gonna continue to get entertainment. The guys, he was like, you know, tell him. Now at this time, my friend, she was hammered. Like, she was hammered, and the guy was telling her, you know, oh, come on, let's do a little dance, and like to, you know, do a little pop and locking and stuff on like different guys. And she was like, you know, very intoxicated. And I was telling her, I said, do not do that. Like, your name, I just have a feeling your name is going to be around campus. You know, do not do that. And the guys, you know, they was trying to come to me. But I was like, even in like college, I was like the type of person that, you know, I drank, but I never got to the point where I didn't know what was going on. So the guys was trying to get me to dance, and I was like,
I don't like this rap, I like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. What it?
And I remember this guy coming up to me, and he's like, you know, oh, just straight up, oh, do you do sexual things outside? I was like, bruh, I don't even want I said, please don't talk to me. Like, he tried to sit down next to me. I said, please don't talk to me. No, I do not. You go ahead and do your thing. You go ahead and find somebody. But I am not the one, and not the one. I was like, I'm gonna go get some fresh air. She was over there. She was dancing with like 2 different guys, and I was trying to talk, but she's like, I'm gonna dance, you get fresh air, and come back. I ended up going outside and sitting on the porch, and you know, there's a few people out there, and in that moment, I realized that the party life is just not for me. You know, that the college parties aren't really what people make them out to be, and it's just, it's not for me. So as I was telling myself that this is not for me, I was like, I'm gonna go back inside. I'm gonna, you know, talk to my friend, because even though like I've determined that this party was whack and that the college parties were not what they are, you know, made out to be, and that it was not for me, I wasn't gonna like have all my friends leave, you know, with me or anything like that. I was just gonna stick it out. I was gonna be that girl that, you know, just sticks it out and, you know, has and enjoys the experience while I'm there. And then that's it. You know, my college party days are over. So as I was outside and I was getting ready to go back in, I literally seen people darting. They were running.
Run.
And I'm like, why are these people running? Like that, when you are, you know, a little tipsy and, you know, the atmosphere and everybody's like, you know, having fun, and all of a sudden you see a bunch of people running, your instant is like instant warrior mode. And you're like, wait, what is going on? Why are people running? Like, what's happening? So I see people running and I decide to go get the other 7 friends that I came with, because I'm like, people are running, they're screaming. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna get my friend. And as I was going in, my friend was coming out and she like grabbed me. So she's like, come on, we gotta go to the backyard. So I'm in this dress, we're in these heels, and we go to the backyard and there's like this big row of bushes. And she literally like jumps into the bushes and she's like, come on, you have to jump. So I jumped into the bushes. So we're sitting there and we're crouching down and we're in the bushes. And I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? So then she tells me that the cops are there, that the cops were coming, more cops were coming, the cops were already there, they were in the front, coming into the front door, and how, you know, we had to hide because all of this, you know, illegal stuff that we were doing, it was getting shut down by the cops and we weren't allowed to do it. So that's why we had to run and why we had to hide. So I'm like nervous because I'm like, man, this is literally my first college party. They're gonna call my grandma, like I'm gonna get expelled, you know, all these thoughts were going in my head. And she's like, just be quiet. So we're in the backyard and we are ducked between the bushes. We see all of these cops and all these lights, and they start coming out the back. They're arresting people already, and they're coming out the back and they're trying to see, you know, who's out in the backyard. So the cops, they also had 2 dogs. So these dogs were with the cops and they were out in the yard, and I thought for sure that they were going to come over to the bushes. I really did. I thought for sure they were going to come over to the bushes, but my friend, she ended up taking her shoe off and literally throwing it at the other side of the bushes, and the dogs looked at that side and then they started barking and they went over there. So me and my friend ended up being able to squeeze ourselves out of the bushes and like run. So as we're running, my wig's sliding off, my heels are breaking. It was so bad. My heels are breaking, and then we start seeing the cop cars starting to come around to, you know, check the perimeter. So we jumped into a neighbor's bush, and we basically were in that bush for like at least a good hour. So after that, you know, hour and a half, we realized that the cops were finally leaving. Like, you know, they had did everything that they set out to do and that we didn't get caught. So we ended up walking all the way back up that hill, like the hill with all these bends and stuff, looking busted, like grass in our hair, wigs are off, shoes are off, dresses are torn, muddy, like we just looked a hot mess. It was terrible. So keep in mind, from my last story time, I still had to meet my dorm leader. I had to meet my dorm leader because, you know, they were waiting for me. So I had gone back to my friend's room. I just took a quick shower. I put on whatever clothes that she had for me. And then I ended up going to my dorm leader. And honestly, that was pretty much my college party experience. Like this is definitely a shorter story time, but there wasn't really, you know, much to it. My other friends that we came with, they ended up making it back safely, but they made it back at like, it was like 5 a.m. So like they were all just dead in classes, but they ended up making it back safely, and that was basically it. So I hope you enjoyed my story time on my first college party. If you ever had some crazy college experiences, please write them down in the comments below. I would love to hear your story and your first college experience. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you are notified of all of the wonderful things that we are doing here on this channel. And as always, I love you all, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Take me home.